Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another HM1 in 2021. Today we're looking at NavMed P5010 Chapter 5. So first off, NavMed P5010 is one you should really have memorized. That is the PrevMed stuff. So basically that's the Manual of Naval PrevMed. And Chapter 5 is all about water quality for shore installations, as you can see here. This one I'm kind of confused about because I look at the bib, it calls it Chapter 5. And then it has a semicolon and then says Chapter 5 again. So I'm reading that as meaning you only need to study Section 5. However, the whole reference is called Chapter 5. So I'm not really sure if it means the whole chapter or just Section 5. But there's so much stuff to study. I'm just going to study Section 5 unless there's something that I figure out later that says I should revisit it. Good thing we got a couple more months to study. So this one's all about like your public health response. So how do you respond if there's an issue with water on a shore command? So it just defines it should be planned for to make sure your water is set up. Upon discovering that there's stuff with the water, the installation commanding officer, so installation CO, is required to consult with the local PrevMed authority. And then the PrevMed authority is the one that reports it to the Navy Marine Corps Public Health Center. Which makes a lot of sense because that's kind of like the PrevMed hub. So it makes sense that they would report it to them. And so it's the Naval Marine Corps Public Health Center as well as BUMID M44, who are the ones that provide like the consultation and, hey, this is what you need to do. So the PrevMed Authority is really kind of like the intermediary between like the base CO and the Navy Marine Corps Public Health Center. It says right here, it's the agent which BMED is going to fulfill their responsibility. And really, like, the PrevMed Authority are going to be the ones that are going to gather all that info. So the big Navy Marine Corps Public Health Center can do their job. And it says here a little disclaimer, even though the PrevMed person is really the public health advisor, they still aren't supposed to report anything to people out in town. That is, as it says here, that is the PAO's job. So even though they're the ones that are gathering all the info, they're the one that really knows what's going on. They're not supposed to share anything out in town because, again, that is why we have PAOs. So again, it talks about like the different types of public notices. Tier 1, as how I read these, Tier 1 is the worst. Tier 2, not so bad. Tier 3, not really a problem. So Tier 1 means you need to notify people within 24 hours. And that's basically something the water could cause an acute risk to human health. So a big thing to remember, such as like failure to test E. coli. So Tier 1, immediate notice within 24 hours. Tier 2, not so bad, but not great. Notice as soon as practical, but within 30 days. And then Tier 3, and it says here non-acute issues. Tier 3 is as soon as practical, but within a year. It basically says that these violations don't pose any immediate risk to human health. So Tier 3 is not really too big of a deal. 2 is it might be a big deal. And 1 is notify people immediately. It talks about stuff that you want to put in that notification, which all seem kind of common sense. So what is the violation? How did that occur? What are the adverse health effects? What's the risk? Do we need other water? What actions do consumers need? Like, do they need to boil their water? What's being done, and what do we need to do to get us back to norm? So that stuff's kind of common sense. There's also a flow chart. So is there a contaminant? Yes. Does boiling water help? Then yes. Is there a risk to any dermal or inhalation exposure? Yes, do not use. Or no, do not drink. So difference between do not use, do not drink is like, should you wash your hands with it? Should you wash your clothes with it? Should you be anywhere near the water? And if it's a complete do not use, you need to find a complete other water source for firefighting, sanitation, basically everything. So a handy little flowchart. I love when bibs have flowcharts in them. Let's see. So it talks about kind of the public health risk assessment. So any determination of fit for human consumption must include consultation with the PrevMed authority because, water, PrevMed's job, kind of a big deal. So you can't just dictate, no, you can't drink the water. It's something that needs to be referred through PrevMed. Let's see, it says stuff that you can limit. situations where the PrevMed would consult with the public health center are contamination of overseas water, or where installation COs determine the water is not fit for human consumption, and request evaluation for other uses. PrevMed don't do the public health assessment on their own. They need to consult with that Navy Marine Corps Public Health Center. And then they can also be tasked with gathering information. Again, that kind of ties in earlier in the instruction. Like the PrevMed person, their job is like the investigator in this one. It does say that public health risk assessments aren't very common. So what I got out of reading this section of the bib is that you only really do this if there's a suspicion that there's something wrong with the water. So it's infrequent, and it's not intended to delay or defer maintenance or repair to overseas drinking water that are necessary. So the public health stuff isn't something that happens too often. And it also gives, like, chapter ends on giving you like a guideline on how to actually set up a warning, which a lot of stuff kind of makes sense. So assume that the person's only going to read the top half of the notice, or what can be read in 10 seconds. So it talks about using like bullet points, bold text, highlight the name of the water utility, needs of the special population, and just kind of like just make a big sign that someone can only read for about 10 seconds. And that's really it for chapter 5. So I think the big one to remember here are section 5 in chapter 5. It's a lot of 5s. The public notice tiers, probably important. Can PrevMed release info to the public? No, that's PAO's job. How long must it take to read? 10 seconds. That's really the only stuff that I think would be asked from this chapter. Yeah, that's really all I gained from this one. So I hope this helped. Probably make another video later today as well. So enjoy your studying.